Ladies and gentlemen, tips and tricks are a common way in order to help you out in getting as strong as possible inside of basically every single game. And of course, Anime Warriors is not an exception to that rule. Today, I'm going to be telling you guys a few tips and tricks that I've either stumbled across or some people have told me. So then you guys can also try and, get the best teams that you can potentially get. For example, right now, I'm at I believe 32 days playtime. It's a long time. It's basically over a month. But yeah, hopefully by the end of today's video, you guys wouldn't need to play as long as me, and maybe you might even be able to get a better team than me. For example, here's a little bit of a sneak peek of another video I'm working on. Enough yapping though, like, subscribe, and let's jump into this. Psst, you there, fellow Anime Warriors viewer. I am here to disrupt your daily broadcast of Anime Warriors Street content to bring you today's sponsor, Anime Battles. Now, I'm not going to waste your guys' time, I'm not going to spend 30 minutes yapping. Let's cut to the chase. When playing games like, for example, Anime Warriors Street or just, any anime game in general, there is always going to be those times where you're like, hey, I want to try something new. I want to try maybe playing a game from the start. And that's exactly where Anime Battles comes in. First of all, having a look at some of the sneak peeks, let's get a rough idea of how the game works. It's going to be having some of your favorite features like, gachas, RNG, hatching, and of course, so much more. Like, for example, have a look at this character over here. It seems like there's going to be accessories, yen, and best of all, the game is going to be releasing very soon. It's going to be releasing on June 27th. And I honestly don't think the game is going to be disappointing you. So if you just want to take a step back from, the Anime Warriors genre, or maybe you just want to, try something fun, brand new, or any reason at all, highly recommend you check out Anime Battles. All other relevant information will be found in the description and in the comments. But yeah, let's get back to the video. Alright, so first things first, let's go ahead and let's start from scratch, right? We're going to start off with a few early game tips and tricks, some simple ones, some small fixes you can do alongside your grinding. But don't worry, I will have some stuff for you end game players as well. So to start things off, right, for my very first tips and trick, right, let's say you've just started off Anime Warriors 3, or maybe you've already have like a few hours playtime. Please do not forget how OP the limited time modes are. Like, quite literally, in terms of, for example, the summer docks and the journey's end, these are really important to grind. Now, a journey's end isn't exactly the easiest thing at all. If I'm not mistaken, you need around 20 million or 30 million power just to solo it. But that's kind of where the summer docks will come on in. It is going to be, the summer world. It came out in the last update. And if I'm not mistaken, the pets of this world are around world 5 type of strength. So you guys know, like the rain village, for example. I'm pretty sure that they are very similar in terms of strength. So let's just have a look and, confirm this, right? So the rain village over here, the mythical at a, normal, no shiny or whatever, or no like levels, is going to be having a base damage of 186. Whilst the special world, aka the Summer Isles, is going to be 177 inside of the overworld. So it is only slightly weaker, but I mean, you don't need to be super strong in order to get the NEL Summer. This world was quite literally designed for early game players to just like hop on in, grind through, get some coins, and then just keep on hatching. And then of course you keep on doing that until you get, a full team of mythicals or better. But obviously that is, way too simple to just say, oh yeah, that's the whole tips and trick. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to spam a bunch of like a few like requirements that I want you all to do just to make sure that you guys are grinding for like the maximum potential. For example, getting a lucky team, right? When you're starting off the game, probably manually rolling for them in the trait tree row section, it's going to be way too expensive for you. So the next best thing that you can do, in case you don't already know, is you can actually auto-lock certain traits that you hatch from pets. For example, if you select, let's say, Solar and Blessed, right? Then there's like maybe a 1 in 1,000 chance or 1 in 10,000 chance that you'll end up like, for example, hatching one of these Solar commons over here. Again, is it the best like place for the Solar trait to be on? No, preferably you would want to put your lucky traits on like magical units. Please remember, relics in this game, they are like have certain affinities, right? So a magic relic, for example, a magic luck relic, right, will do better on a magic unit. That's why, if it is possible, I would highly recommend that you guys get solar traits, like maybe if you're lucky enough to hatch them, get it on a magic unit, like for example, Rookie Summer. But then again, at the start, it doesn't really matter. If you can just get like a few commons or whatever, that is still very good regardless. Plus as well, relics and whatever, that is a kind of like mid-game / end game. Just focus on getting a full team of just like solar traits and 1 blessed, and that will be good. And just to quickly explain why I say you should get 1 blessed on your team, because even though solar is the best lucky trait in the game, it's a passive which gives you +1 extra star open. It is capped at 1, but thankfully blessed actually follows the same rule. It is also capped at 1, so if you were to have a full team of, for example, solar and 1 blessed, instead of only having +1 extra roll equip, you will now have +2 extra rolls. But anyways, that kind of solves what you need to do in the early game. Now the next question is, how does that exactly transfer over to, you know, for example, the limited time game mode, the Escort? Well, it doesn't exactly transfer over. Like, even if you were able to get, I think, a full team of mythicals, I don't think you would really be able to hit that 20 million power requirement. To be honest, I would say it more helps you out in an indirect way, because even if you were to, for example, get a level 80 mythical, right? It does have 1 million power, and then, you know, if you get 5 of them, that will be 5 million. You would want to use that 5 million power to either A, continue grinding in the summer world, or B, transfer it over and try, for example, getting Ichigos, right? From the very final normal world, the Soul District. But I would recommend actually that you can do this instead of like having to focus on the normal world, because remember, the summer like world and game modes and whatever, it is limited time. So regardless of how far you want to progress in the game, I want you to spend as much time as possible in this world so then, you know, you can max it out, get all of its benefits. I think you kind of get what I mean. So how exactly do you do that? Well, it's going to be involving the shiny potion over here. A lot of you guys don't realize that the shiny potion can kind of be manipulated in order to kind of mega buff your chances at getting a shiny unit. And what I mean by that is, if you keep your shiny potion off and then you keep on rolling non-stop until you get really close to the mythical pity, and then, you know, just before you go ahead, you unpause your shiny potion, hit the mythical pity, and then you have like a 30 or 40% chance of getting a shiny unit, which is basically a 1 in 2.5 chance, something along those lines. It's much better than just like AFKing for days straight and then like it's like a 1 in 50 chance to get a mythical. Trust me, this is the best way to get shiny mythicals, especially if you are free to play. But don't forget, if you have a good luck multiplier, you are not going to be hitting the mythical pity. For example, I have 12.4 luck. I hit the mythical pity like maybe once a day, and that's because I always like get it way before. So here's 2 solutions. Number 1, if you're early game and you don't even have a good luck multiplier anyways, you should just focus on like maybe doing some like hatch speed potions or whatever to try and, you know, hit that mythical pity as soon as possible. And if you have a luck team or whatever, if you really want to, you could just take the L, unequip all your luck related stuff, and again, kind of just brute force your way to the mythical pity. But honestly, it kind of depends on you, right? Because I haven't had to use this method, because in terms of just my own like good luck, I've gotten like a ton of shinies. So depending on your own luck, you might not even need to do this brute force method. You could just AFK for a day, and if you are lucky enough, you know, if RNG Jesus blesses you, then yeah, you can get all of these shiny mythicals pretty easily as well. Also, by the way, here is a rough idea of what the shiny mythical is going to be giving you in terms of level 80 damage. It is still 1.59, which is very little, but remember, if you were to ascend it to Ascension 4, you can get 2 relic slots, put on just any random 2 like damage relics, and then probably the power will jump up to like 5 million or 6 million. Then with your 4 or 5 equips, all you really need to do then is just like pop them all on, and then you can easily take out the Escort game mode at its easiest difficulty. Here, let me show you guys what I mean. Tier 1 common difficulty, the recommended power is 24.2 million. It says you need 4.57 million, but it's actually around 1 million, because remember, you could just artificially inflate your power by just popping on, for example, an ultra damage boost. I'm not kidding, if you only have like 1 or 2 million power and you pop this on, you will still beat it. But yeah, on to the next tips and tricks. This is going to be for all of you guys, regardless if you're early game or end game, in how you should be grinding the Escort game mode. First of all, if you are using any drops boost, any drops relics, anything related to increasing the drops multiplier on the bottom right section over here, I'm gonna let you guys know from right now, you are wasting your time. Drops has absolutely zero effect on how many coins or ultra boost or whatever you get. Even if you have a 10x drops multiplier down here, it does nothing. However, that does not mean you cannot increase your drops. The only two ways to increase your drops inside of this game mode is going to be by equipping warriors and also the elf mage. That's why the ideal grinding team for, you know, grinding the Escort game mode is going to be basically Ascension 6, Shiny Axe Warriors, you know, a full team of them, and also one Elf Mage. And then just to make sure that the runs are like moving as fast as possible, if you have a really good DPS unit, like for example, a Shiny Secret, or just a really like maxed out Secret with like Sun God and whatever, then I would recommend taking that hit of like minus 50 to 100 coins, just so then you can guarantee an extra like 20 to 30 seconds of less time spent between each run. Also, another thing, again, I'm going to remind you all, do not put on drops relics. It does nothing. Just put on Shadow Dragon Horns or the legendary, like, where are they? Gem of Power. And even if you don't have that, just use like, I don't know, like the epic ones or the rare ones that you have. It's literally better than nothing. You can always like change them out for better ones in the future. Just please stop wasting your ultra drops boost and your drops relics and whatever. It does nothing. Just go for full DPS with obviously your drops team, and that's going to be maximizing the amount that you can get. And if you grind with a good efficient amount of players, because keep in mind, by the way, when you grind with other players, it gives you around 200 to 300 coins more per player. So if you are a max of 4 players, then you can get around 1.5k to 1.6k coins per run with my setup, which yeah, within around 5 to 6 hours you can get around this amount of coins. And I'm not gonna lie to you all, I don't think I was even at max efficiency either, because the main guy, he was like macroing, and you know, obviously to make sure that the macro doesn't break, he was like using like 20 to 30 seconds of just like setting up time to make sure his character's in place and whatever. So for all I know, if you were to use my setup, you would have gotten 270k coins in the same amount of time. But anyways, next tips and tricks is going to be just explaining some stuff that some of you all might have missed, because I personally missed at least one of these. For example, if you head on over to the hub, there are 2 important things that regardless of where you are in terms of progression, you're going to want to get them. One of them is going to be the hub quest that you can get from the Singularity NPC, and obviously the gauntlet. Now, I'm not going to wait 30 minutes just to give you guys a simple tips and trick. What am I talking about in terms of the gauntlet? Well, some of you all might not know, but you can actually change your setups midway through the gauntlet. Now, yes, I know, probably some of you guys will be saying, wait, SMG, but I've tried it before, you know, I tried swapping my accessories like mid-run, and that did nothing. Well, yes, if you were in, for example, floor 2, 3, 7, 8, 24, 27, then no, you can't change anything. You can't change what units you have equipped or accessories, but that's because you're on the wrong floor. You can actually change anything on your like self, your profile, your units or whatever, when you are on a card floor. So you guys know the floor where like you can just ask for like 3 random cards, you know, 3 random buffs, and then you press the button to go to like the next batch of 4. Well, yeah, during that time, just feel free to go ahead, you know, maybe change from like drop setups to damage setups once you stop like one-shotting or whatever. That way you can like kind of maximize how many shards you get. So then, you know, when a shiny potion comes in stock, for example, inside of the Singularity shop, then yeah, you can go ahead, you can buy it, you know, stack on up on those bad boys. And then, you know, when you need to try getting like a shiny secret or something, or just some shiny mythicals, then, yeah, you'll have as many as you're gonna want to have. And yeah, would you look at that? Apparently I just messed myself up. I pressed the restock button, I got a shiny potion, but I don't have enough shards. Great. But anyways, last thing over here regarding the hub. Some of you will constantly asking me like, SMG, how do you have 8 equips, right? Or 5 equips or whatever. Like, I only have like 3 or 5. Well, yeah, in case you guys don't already know, there is literally a quest system over here. You talk to this NPC, you ask him any work for you. He'll give you like I think 4 quests in total. Each one will give you a badge. One of them gives you 1-star open, the other one gives you a warrior equip, and then it maxes out at 2-star opens, and 2 warrior equips. It's quite literally that simple. They usually involve you just getting like a 0.1% chance item from the gauntlet. So I mean, just go ahead, claim these quests. You know, you're going to be doing gauntlets anyways for like luck relics and drops relics. I don't see a reason to not be claiming these quests because, you know, +2 star opens and +2 equips, they are really good. Like the +2 equips is equivalent to the +2 game pass in the shop. You're basically getting a 400 Robux game pass for free. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the final tips and tricks, and this is going to be heavily towards like endgame and stuff. Now, please do keep in mind, these are my own personal tips and tricks. They may not be 100% accurate, and there is obviously that chance where it might not even work at all. But hear me out, and then you can decide for yourselves. So, I came up with a strategy, right, in terms of how to get the shiny secrets that you want, while it's also just like kind of maximizing your chances. And the way that I do that is by hatching in worlds where, for example, I need the ascension like sacrifices anyways, because remember, to get a shiny secret, it's like a 1 in 20 chance, so on average, it will take 20 secrets to get another shiny unit. So this is what I decided on doing. I was, you know, trying to hatch for a shiny secret Broly. I didn't end up getting him. I got, I think like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Brolys, which means that any more that I get from this point onwards is going to be a complete waste. Like I won't be able to use them for like anything other than just ascensions, but I already have the maximum amount of those. So what I decided on doing is I am just going to keep on hatching until I get, you know, the 6 needed for the ascension, and then I swap over to, you know, a different secret unit, and then I repeat that same process. And then, you know, whenever that like a shiny roll happens, like for example on the Yoichi Summer, which has happened for me, then you wouldn't be wasting time. Because imagine if, for example, I didn't get the Yoichi Summer after my 6th Broly, and I ended up getting, for example, another 13 secrets without any like shiny rolls. If I, you know, stuck on a Broly over here, that would have been 13 Brolys that would have done absolutely nothing. Worst of all, it might have even taken like 2 weeks to get that amount, so I would have wasted 2 weeks on stuff that I can't even use because the game maxes you out at 1 secret per world. That's why just hatch until you get like the maximum amount for the potential ascensions, and then just like swap over. Please don't like take the gamble. You might end up regretting it a lot. But don't worry, if you want to, for example, you know, actually come back and try getting those shiny variants, just wait for admin abuse, you know, gives you like 50% shiny chance or something. It's the best and only time in order to minimize your losses. Now, another tips and tricks is going to be in terms of the weekend events. You know, so a lot of you are asking, you know, not just me, but like basically everyone in the Anime Wars Discord server, what is the best one to get? And I think, personally, the best one is arguably the Opens and Open Speed event. The reason being is that when you get to a large amount of luck multiplier, the amount of luck that you get for every 1 luck goes down so much. Like if I were to pop on my full luck team, I think I'll get to around maybe 25 luck or something. And even if I were to get the +3 luck, you know, to go from like 25 to 28, you know how much luck I would end up getting from, you know, that whole weekend event? 3%. 3% luck for, you know, a whole weekend event. Just 3%. 3 out of 100. That literally does nothing. That's why Opens event is just so much better. If you have, for example, 9 Opens and you get +1, I mean, instead of hatching 90k in a day, you would get 100k Opens in a day. And the 1.2x speed event boost, depending on how the math is applied, determines how OP it is. For example, if it's +20%, then you know it's like +20%. But if it's a multiplier, like it says over here, you know, 1.2x, then that's even more OP. I know a lot of you guys were getting angry at me. You were saying, SMG, 1.2x and +20% are the exact same thing. No, they are not. You guys do not know math. Here you go. I wrote you guys an example math equation, right? If you, for example, already have 300% hatch speed and it's +20%, it goes up to 320%. But if it's a 1.2x multiplier, then it goes up to 360%. It's not that much better, but if it's 1.2x, it is still better. And also I did go ahead and like at least explain, you know, when it is actually the same. For example, if your base speed was 100%, then +20% and 1.2x would mean the exact same thing, because 1.2x 100 is still 120. You guys were really making me doubt myself. For a second, I thought like I banged my head, you know, I was like, did I really like forget like grade 5 math or something? No, I think you guys were just rage baiting me. I refuse to believe that so many people were like so angry at me for, you know, just coming up with that math equation. Whatever, I'm just gonna take it as like you guys were just messing around with me. But anyways, apart from that though, ladies and gentlemen, I don't think there's really that many other tips and tricks I want to showcase to you guys. If needs be, if anything pops to mind, or if you guys remind me of some stuff down in the comments, I'll always make a part 2. You know, these videos don't really take too long to record. It's mostly just me yapping, you know, giving my thoughts on certain suggestions on what you should be grinding. So yeah, if you guys want that part 2, feel free to like and subscribe. Check out the sponsor, linked in the description and also in the comments. And until next time, give me your suggestions down in the comments as well. Any tips and tricks I forgot, or join my Discord server, linked in the description as well. And apart from that though, I need to continue, you know, working on my other video. You know, I need to continue hatching some Yoichis so I can show you guys how strong Shiny Yoichi is. When obviously, you know, I get her second relic slot, you know, Ascension 6, Sun God. We're gonna max her out, okay? It's gonna be an absolute cinema video. Love you all. I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.